Well, you guys have some of the most important superpowers in the business world, in the branding world, and so I really appreciate what you're up to. It's I've got a lot of that experience, but I don't have the systems. And
Hmm.
so I once worked with I don't know if you know Lance Hoke, but of Signal Genesis. He has a
Uh,
pretty similar type of system. Forgive me if I compare any Kias to Lamborghinis. Right? I don't want to say who's what
we're,
or
hey,
what.
we're right in the middle. We're nice Nissan, nice Ford,
But
somewhere in there.
right. And well, I think the importance is like there's just so many, there's billions of people who need help. So
Hmm.
it's like Lance can't do it by himself. I think we'd all be down to try to do it by ourselves. And the abundance mindset is like, well, let's see what compounds and adds to it. So I haven't used the system in years, but because of him, it was his fault. I got featured in Fox, and because I got featured in Fox, it was Fox's fault that the conservatives were like, "Here, have some money," and the investors didn't care anymore about
Yeah.
anything else other than, "Hey, congratulations, you're on Fox. Now we'll take this seriously." And I was like, "This is so stupid," but okay. Like at the same time, it worked in our favor. So I do value the the publicity side of things, and I also am huge into the world of advertising.
Mm.
And most people hate advertising. And that's because they think it's a money suck. And it is if you don't reverse engineer. But if you reverse engineer, it's like the best thing you can possibly do for a brand. And so and I say that tongue in cheek. Um, it If you're a local gas station, you don't need a website. You don't need the advertising. You need good service,
Yeah.
right? And everybody else will find out what you have. But every business is different in terms of what they need. But the majority of my audience greatly, greatly, greatly wants what you have and are preparing for it. Where I have a challenge on that is most of them are not prepared for the scale they think they are. And
Hmm.
so I've seen so many companies, Austin,
Yeah.
implode at the stage of, oh, we're going to go big now. No, you're not. You're not even
Yeah.
close to ready. And so I'm like the e-brake for most founders who are alpha and like, screw you guys, we're going big. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm stopping you. Or you're firing me. Take your pick. Which
Yeah.
one? Are we going to save your life long term and put a brake in this Lamborghini? Or are you going to drive off and I'm going to warn your team, get out of the car, before they do. So that's my difficult role, if you will, as what I do. So my audience, I can't wait to dive in with you. I would love to ask you if you'd be willing to do a 40 to 60-minute live session within the next couple months. That way we can pick an actual topic. We can dive far more extensively into what it is that you're up to and how it can help the audience.
Yeah.
But today we can record some pre-show stuff, and some of this can also pull in as bonus footage if we want to. But I also want to make room for you to ask questions and like observations, blah blah blah. So
Love it. And I think you're 100% on it that different businesses need different things. Like we kind of look at we have a couple others growing, but our two main ones are like CPG products and personalities. Like that's what
mm,
we've lived on for a long time. And a personality can step in there and like just get on TV and they'll get the attention. Like they need some kind of offer, but they need a lot less than a brand needs. Like a brand probably needs product in the warehouse before they can go and get a bunch of media coverage. So
yes. There's a lot that goes to that, and so I love the clarity that you guys have as well. This is super rare for we are a starter stage. We love to bring on people who are newer with their visions, but when I see these types of visions that are well articulated and like well designed, you got great UX and UI going on, whether it was AI created or not. You guys understand
no,
certain principles, about how to build a brand and how to position. And
yeah,
I love this too. You're the number one communications firm for purpose-driven brands. Purpose-driven is so aligned with what we do. We've got a program called oportunidadeslatinas.com. That's opportunities for Latinos.
okay,
And I traditionally work with a lot of people from Central and South. I live in Ecuador, so we work with a
nice.
lot of people from Central South America. And there's a whole workforce down here that's the world's completely unaware of and doesn't know how to tap into. And they don't know that virtual assistant things, like they're starting to get that, oh, there's opportunities, but they still think they're limited by language. And then you got Signal Raptor over here with what you're building with that too. And yeah, all this stuff really just intrigues me and brings me back to like, wow, you guys are building it well. You've got a bold, I want to be careful how I say this, a bold claim about how much you guys are making per month. It's not public knowledge, so I take it with a grain of salt. But I also don't think I shouldn't say I don't think. Yeah, I have no reason to doubt what it is that you guys have accomplished, where you're at, where you're going. Y'all aren't trying to mudsling all over the place in your branding. You're very focused on what you do, how you do it, why you do it the way you do it. And so kudos to you guys.
We've gotten a lot of help to get where we are. And we're about to hit 10 years. It's kind of that like,
wow,
10-year overnight success thing.
Right.
But a couple of things happened. Like, one, we got some specific help. I'm sure you've probably heard of them, Cardone Community.
Yeah.
And like we did one of their things 2 years ago, and we actually started hiring in Brazil about 2 years ago. And both of those were catalysts for the growth we've seen over the past 2 years. And like that, it's not slowing down. And we're looking at 2 acquisitions, one that would double our agency size, similar size agency. And then the other one is a pretty large following, which could do wonders. Like the total follower count between all the accounts on this business is about 20 million. And so that would be like, I don't even know how to manage that yet.
Right.
Yeah. So we have some cool opportunities, and it's because that like, it's just following all the lessons that everybody teaches. Like, have a mentor. We have a mentor. We have a couple communities we're part of. We've hammered down on messaging. We've made sure the website works in most places.
Right.
Yeah, that's been a brutal like 2-year design process to get to where it is, still going.
Yeah, I see it.
I wish AI was where it is now when we started that.
I know, man. It has changed everything.
Yeah, and like I'm on the OpenClaw train right now, and so at nights I'm on the Mac Studio at home.
Have you tinkered with Perplexity's computer yet?
No, we started on some of the Claude stuff.
But I'd use both, by the way, just so you know. Yeah. I'm agnostic, right?
Yeah,
it's like no. I got all the tools are tools.
We have subscriptions to just about everything in some capacity. I'm loving the Grok API. I split test the Grok, Chat, GPT, and Anthropic APIs for OpenClaw. And performance-wise, like I agree with everybody else. The Anthropic one is definitely the best, but it's like literally 10 times the cost API tokens-wise as the Grok is right now. I'm like, the Grok is not much, and I think Grok's better than ChatGPT on the API front for like 4.1 versus 5.2. I haven't tried 5.4 yet. Yeah, dude, it's wild what's going on in the world. I love it.
It is, and I love that too. Like those elements. In fact, we're launching the AI marketplace this week for First Class Business, and we're keeping simple. One, we're in a far more humble position as a company. You know, we're not Grant Cardone. We don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to invest towards stuff. And I do. It's funny. When you said you're learning through Cardone, you meant Grant, right?
So we did one of the Cardone Ventures programs. So the Brandon Dawson side of it. We did the 360, and like we essentially doubled our business in 90 days.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. And I'm super glad to hear it too, Austin, because I tend to use Grant Cardone as the poster child of how not to lead.
Yeah.
Not in a way of shaming him. It often feels like it. And if he's got an inferiority complex, then he absolutely would hate my show and my episodes. But if he's got the true leadership role and vibe of like, oh, wait a second, I have shortcomings too. And yeah, I can overcome those. Then whatever I say about it could absolutely serve him and his audience. But I don't tend to go into that circle. But I'm glad to see you benefiting from that circle because I'm a big fan of the book As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And
I
that
have
book
not read
made
it, but
me,
I know about it. Yeah.
oh, and as icing is, it's like a pamphlet. It's so
Yeah.
short. And one of his premises that he teaches in it is that the rich man who's rich is wealthy because of his virtues associated with making money. He's diligent, he's persistent, he's, counts as he understands the math and the logic and blah, 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 blah. But, he might be suffering on the home front and he might be divorced. His wife might leave him. His kids might have a distant relationship from him. And it's the vices of his life that drive that reality. Meanwhile, the poor guy, the guy who doesn't have financial victories, well, you know what? He's inconsistent with work and he's unreliable and he doesn't want to go in and he doesn't want to put in the extra hours. And at the same time, the community loves him and his family loves him and he's got a great relationship with his wife. And so James Allen teaches us that your virtues, like if you can focus on the virtues and not judge the man, but look at how do I align with the virtues of both, then you can create a more holistic success for your own life. And so I tend to, for the sake of public figures, point out some of Grant's flaws in terms of his absolutism and his superlatives hey, I'm going to get right to that. And then 3 hours later, he hasn't revealed anything about what he said he was going to get to. And that's unethical. And FCC will come after him eventually for that. But that's not, again, I feel somewhat bad sometimes because I don't mean to paint him as a Hitler, right? I don't mean to villainize him as much as I hope that he will optimize because he's got millions of people that he's helping and he's doing a lot of good things in that process. But I've seen a lot of people suffer through those programs and I haven't seen a story like yours. I've seen people who I know that have gone pretty big with him, but at the cost of, they don't sleep very well. They're not really liking they're hustling and grinding it out. And it's not creating the holistic life that they have wanted to achieve. But that's also just because entrepreneurship is hard too. It's not Grant's fault. It's what do we do with the mentorship that we get and the people that we get. So you give me hope and you give me a little bit of an inline. And it's like, if you hate me too, then that will get me further from Grant. But if you end up liking what we do, then maybe some of what we say or do rubs off on that organization in a good way. Cause we got 8 billion people to help in this world, and Grant's not touching the surface of that. I'm not scratching the surface of that, not yet, but can we? I think if we all pull our great minds together and our great hearts together, then yeah, I think we can. But that's where it comes down. So I gotta be careful not to make Grant.
But as we've gotten like deeper into business over the years, like everybody has the back end, so to speak. And everybody at that level knows each other. Like the coach that we started with was David Meltzer, who is very much on the other side. But him and Grant know each other pretty well because they speak together a lot. And it's good to have multiple perspectives. The thing that I appreciate about Grant is that he does have the personal fruit stuff. Like the family stuff is like solid there. Despite his beliefs.
Sure.
But the Brandon side of it is like business systems. And like that, it's also a place where like, if you're not ready for it, like I would never recommend somebody go that route when they're at like 300 or 500K. It's like, probably get the basics down. But I know there's so much.
There is. And with your scale where you guys are at, I haven't been there personally. I've gotten to be behind the scenes on it. And so it's really neat and it's so cool. I hope you guys enjoy the ride. Hang on to the family. Keep that part sacred. We used to be Jake Larson's right-hand man at Video Power Marketing, videopower.com. Do you know him?
I don't know him, but I've seen the brand. I think
Cool.
I don't know if Heather talked to him at some point, or I've seen like documentation somewhere, and I don't know if
Yeah.
that was like the sales process or somebody we were looking at working
He's
with.
my favorite mentor in life by
Okay.
far. He's a family man. He's always cared deeply about me and helping me on things. And I can't thank him enough for all that he's done. But we were mission companions in Uruguay years ago.
Nice.
And then later on, he calls me up and he says, "Jackson, you're the most critical person I've ever met in my life. I need your feedback." And I was like, that is the worst thing I've ever heard somebody tell me. I was like, I don't want to give you feedback. You're right. I was awful. And so he's like, no. I'm launching this brand and I've got a baby due, and you're the only entrepreneur I know who will shoot me straight. Should I do this? And so the founder of YouTube had asked him to represent YouTube ads before it launched. He was one of 10 ambassadors. And they were the reason why, if the ad sucks, you should be able to skip it in 5 seconds. And so he went on and launched a brand. Ryan Dice put him on stage, called him the YouTube ad expert of the world, and the rest was history. I joined him a couple of years later, and he's like, I'm helping him with infrastructure, and I basically begged him for a job. He flew me out, said yes, and he said, "How do we do this?" I was like, "I don't know, but here's what I think we should do. You be mom of the company, and I'll be dad of the company. Everybody needs to love you, Jake. You got a great charismatic personality. I'm gonna make sure people are accountable, and when they get mad at me, you gotta have my back. And if we have to fire some people, we have to fire some people. But my goal will be to make them executives." So we agreed to that. We went in the room. We had 2 interns, 70,000 people a month coming to his brand. And I told them, I said, guys, Jake needs to be doing 3 things. He needs to be playing golf. That's where he's meeting with executives and getting deals. 2, he needs to be speaking on as many stages and podcasts as possible. And 3, he needs to be playing the jazz piano at those events. When Jake does that, people fall in love with him. Everything else operationally, we have to learn how to maintain. You all have to teach me how to help you guys do that. And so Jake's after that, he says, Jackson, watch this video from this guy named Russell Brunson and one of our clients, John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneur on Fire. You got to watch this episode. They'll teach you about these things called funnels. So this was 2013 or so. And
it's good
man,
time.
So I'm watching the potato gun thing and I'm taking like 90 screenshots in this thing. I'm like, holy freaking crap. Why didn't I get to learn any of this from my startups? We did all the things the hard way. But yeah, so that gave me an introduction. And then he said, and now take this playbook thing that Dan Martell gave us. He's another one of our clients.
Nice.
So I was like,
yeah,
okay, $2,000 course for free. Sure. Procedures, resource templates. Got it. Right. And then we had Ryan Blair come on board, and he brought Lewis Howes. Lewis Howes came on board, then Michael Hyatt, then T. Harv Eker, then Billie Jean, and all these funnels. Like I was there dumber than dirt for digital marketing stuff, learning and opting in and seeing that, but helping with the infrastructure, like I didn't even know what an integrator was, and I was doing that for him, and it was such a great it was these companies spent $10,000 minimum on YouTube ads. They were spending $100,000 on Facebook. They were spending $50,000 on traditional marketing. And so watching how they made their decisions, how learning all the little acronyms, like what was AOV and how does lifetime value work, and figuring out attribution and all that stuff, it gave me an inside peek into things that were our Nordic Track campaign, we spent $15,000 on ads and they made $430,000 in sales within 2 weeks. And that was through direct conversion. And I asked Jake, I said, so Jake's at a conference. You're going to love this. He's at a conference speaking on stage and somebody says, Jake, is that ROI or ROAS? And his slide said ROI. And he thought about it and he goes, ROAS. And this dude almost slammed his journal shut, pissed. And I saw 15 people in the audience that were so upset because Jake was wrong about it. And I'm taking pictures and I'm going, what the heck is ROAS? I had no idea. And so, but it got me intrigued. And so I started learning about attribution. And I went back to Jake after a week of research, and because we didn't have AI. And I was like, hey, Jake, there's a phone number on that ad. Do we know how many people called in and bought? Because that's probably what nobody was clicking on YouTube ads back then. And he said, we don't know how to track that. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
That's over half the sales.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Easily.
Yeah.
Like probably 80%. And then I was like, what about, okay, new scenario, Jake. I saw the ad on my phone, but I decided to go to my computer.
Yeah.
Can we track
That's a
that?
fun one.
No, we can't. I'm like, we couldn't track anything. And I was like, this is crazy. I was like, what do we do? And so anyway, that whole process just lit my mind on fire with like, oh my gosh, we're promoting a 32-to-1 return on an ad that probably got a 300-to-1 return, and we can't see it, and so we can't claim it. I was like, no, we got to fix this. And so I got really obsessed with fixing attribution models and realizing just how stupid attribution models are, and how I would say like entrepreneurs are addicted to cocaine. I mean, conversions. And until they stop with that addiction, they're not going to understand the value of awareness. And Austin Holmes, Publicity for Good, champion of awareness and branding and positioning, said, no, like we want to have that and the conversions, of course, but we also want to have a balance of our messaging that continues to cultivate new relationships while nurturing for those who exist. So yeah, no, I'm hook, line, and sinker excited about what you do.
That's what we're trying to do with Raptor, is trying to bridge that gap between the conversion tracking and the actual like brand management. And it is a massive gap. AI is making it easier. And like,
well, and it's still not. Yeah. Here's the challenge on that though. From my professional opinion on it, which take it with a grain of salt, right? I think it's the greatest trap that entrepreneurs fall into, because, and this happened, I'll give you the example of Laserway. Laserway was super addicted to it. They had 8 locations. They had spent $100,000 on their YouTube channel before working with us. They came in and we told them the same thing we told every client. Okay, for 3 months, first month is implementation, second month is optimization, third month we're scaling. We almost always did it in 3 weeks. Like it did not take that long to figure it out with these budgets. Here we are in month 3 and we tried everything. We're like, oh my gosh. And so we changed the ad, the offer to 75% off Groupon style. And that completely exploded the ability to kind of start to expand, but we couldn't expand the ad budget. And we couldn't figure out why. Like, okay, we're hitting the entire market based on the cost per acquisition that the client wanted to hit. And I was in the middle of this attribution study right at that time. And so I jump on a call with Todd, the founder, and Jake. And I said, okay, guys, listen. I said, I think my hypothesis is we are being way too stingy with proving cost per acquisition. And here's how I'll prove it to you, Todd. Todd, have you ever bought a Kickstarter or a crowdfunding thing before? And he said, yes. And I was so grateful because it would ruin my whole pitch. I was like, okay, on that Kickstarter that you purchased, when you went to the Kickstarter page, was there a video on that page? And he said, yes, there was a video. I said, would you have bought if there wasn't a video at all? He said, no, never. Okay. Next question. Was the video next to the call to action, or did you have to click on the video in order to get to the call to action? No, it's next to on those pages. I said, so in other words, Todd, me as the founder of that Kickstarter campaign, I have no provable evidence whatsoever that video influenced your conversion, but you're telling me that you wouldn't have bought without the video being there. Mm-hmm. So the same is true with people who are coming to your YouTube ads. You don't know who's coming in, seeing it, and then just come straight in as a walk into your office because they happen to be near it. You don't know who's sharing that with a friend and the friend decides to go because of it. You can't see those things. So if you keep your cost per acquisition where it's at, you're going to cannibalize your own brand. And he said, well, what do I change my cost per acquisition to? And I said, you're the founder. That's your call. I can't make that call for you. You have to decide how aggressive you want to get with it. So he ended up cutting it from 125 down to 75. He made a pretty aggressive move. And within 2 years, they were at 40 locations nationwide. I don't know how much that had the full impact. I never did ask or find out, but Facebook advertises on TV and on radio. Google advertises on TV and radio. Yeah. All the major Geico, Allstate, all these brands that are crushing it with billions of dollars, all of them understand the power of branding and awareness. And sure, some geeks trying to figure out how to put all the attribution stuff together. But at the end of the day, they don't allow that to hold themselves back.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.